There comes a moment in every person's life, quiet, unannounced, when you realize that no one is coming to save you. No one will hand you discipline. No one will drag you out of bed. No one will fix your habits or erase your excuses. It's the moment when the mirror stops lying. You look into your own eyes and realize it's you. It has always been you. You are both the problem and the solution. You are both the obstacle and the opportunity. Improvement is not a gift. It's a demand, one that life keeps whispering every single day. Some hear it and others ignore it and decay. This is not an audiobook about motivation. Motivation fades. This is about force, the kind of force that comes from within when you decide you're done being average. It's about creating pressure, intentional, powerful, relentless pressure, until growth is no longer optional. So, if you've been waiting for a sign to start changing your life, this is it. Let's begin. Chapter 1. The Uncomfortable Truth. There's a moment in every person's life when the noise fades, and what's left is silence, the kind of silence that makes you see yourself clearly for the first time. It might happen one morning when you wake up and realize that you're tired, not physically, but soul tired, tired of your own excuses, tired of promising change and never following through, tired of seeing potential inside you that never becomes reality. That moment is both terrifying and sacred, because it's the beginning of truth. For years, maybe you've been walking through life half awake, going through motions, doing what's expected, chasing comfort instead of purpose. You've achieved some things, sure, but deep down you know, you've been coasting. You've been avoiding the real work, the kind of work that doesn't just change your circumstances, but changes you. Improvement begins with that uncomfortable realization that you are not yet who you could be, and that the person standing in your way is you. Most people never reach this awareness because it hurts too much to face it. It's easier to blame time, luck, circumstances, or other people. It's easier to stay busy than to be honest. But improvement doesn't come from ease. It comes from exposure, from facing your weaknesses in full daylight and refusing to look away. You can't grow inside comfort. Comfort is the enemy of evolution. Think about it. Every muscle that ever grew, every mind that ever expanded, every spirit that ever rose, all of them were stretched, challenged, pushed beyond what felt safe. The truth is, comfort is seductive. It makes you feel fine when you're actually fading. It tells you you're doing enough when you're capable of so much more. And over time, it teaches you to tolerate mediocrity, to accept good enough as your ceiling. But there comes a point where comfort becomes unbearable. That's when the truth starts whispering to you, quietly, consistently, until it becomes impossible to ignore. It says, you could be more than this, and you know it's right. That whisper is the beginning of change. It's not loud, it's not dramatic, it's just honest. And honesty is where transformation begins. See, forcing yourself to improve isn't about becoming someone else. It's about stripping away the layers of distraction, fear, and comfort that keep you from who you already are underneath. It's about remembering that discipline and growth aren't punishments, they're acts of self-respect. You don't have to wait for rock bottom to change. You don't have to lose everything before you choose growth. You can decide right now that the version of you who settles, who avoids, who delays, has had enough chances. Improvement begins with a decision, a quiet, firm, unshakable decision that says, I refuse to live beneath my potential any longer. And yes, it's going to hurt. You'll resist it. Your mind will argue. Your emotions will rebel, because growth demands the death of your old self, and no part of you wants to die. But that's the beautiful paradox of self-improvement. You have to lose parts of yourself to find the best of yourself. You must let go of your comfort to discover your capability. Look back on your life for a moment. Every time you've truly grown, every real breakthrough, came after discomfort, after failure, after doubt, when life pushed you to the edge and you decided not to step back, but to climb. That's the pattern. That's the formula. Growth hides behind resistance. So, if your life feels stagnant, if you've stopped feeling challenged, if your days feel predictable, that's not peace. That's the comfort zone, quietly suffocating your potential. The first act of improvement is awareness. The second is confrontation. You must confront yourself, your habits, your procrastination, your distractions, your excuses, not with judgment, but with responsibility. Responsibility is power, because the moment you take ownership of your results, good or bad, you reclaim control. You stop being a passenger in your own story and start becoming the author. That's the moment most people miss. They keep searching for a secret formula, a course, a mentor, a miracle, when the truth is far simpler. The power to change has always been yours. You just haven't used it yet. Here's a truth that few will tell you. No one is coming. No mentor, no opportunity, no lucky break will save you from your own inaction. At some point, you must decide that your life matters enough to fight for it. And when you finally make that decision, really make it, something shifts. You stop needing motivation and start creating momentum. You stop waiting for the right time and start becoming the right person. Improvement isn't glamorous. It's not instant. It's a daily battle, small, silent, unseen. But those daily victories, those little wins, they accumulate. And one day, you wake up and everything is different. Not because life changed, but because you did. The uncomfortable truth is this: growth hurts, but staying the same hurts more. You can suffer the pain of discipline or the pain of regret. One leads to power, the other to resentment. So ask yourself, right now, which pain are you willing to live with? Because one way or another, you will pay a price. The question is, will that price buy you progress or stagnation? You already know the answer. You feel it, that quiet tension in your chest, every time you think about what you could be doing. That small ache that whispers, I'm meant for more. That's your potential calling you out, and ignoring it doesn't make it go away. It just makes it louder. The truth is simple. If you want to improve, you must force it. Not through anger, not through self-hate, but through love. Love for the person you could become if you stopped running from your own greatness. Every act of discipline, every small decision to do what's right instead of what's easy, is an act of self-respect. And over time, that respect becomes confidence. That confidence becomes power. And that power transforms everything. So as we begin this journey together, remember this: you are capable of extraordinary growth, but only if you're willing to face the uncomfortable truth. Only if you stop lying to yourself about why you haven't changed. Only if you choose the harder path, the one that demands more, but also gives more. Because on the other side of that path lies the version of you you've always dreamed of becoming. And the only way to meet them is to start walking now. This is your wake-up call, not from the world, but from within. The question is no longer, can I improve? It's, will I finally stop avoiding the life I was meant to live? And that, my friend, is where true growth begins. Now that you've faced the truth, it's time to understand the next step, the inner battle that will shape your future. In the next chapter, we'll go deeper into that conflict, the war within your own mind, and how to win it every single day. Chapter 2. The War Within. Every day, there's a battle happening inside you. You might not see it, but you feel it in the hesitation before you act, in the excuses that whisper in your mind, in the invisible pull between who you are and who you could be. It's not a war fought with weapons or armies. It's a war fought with thoughts. And make no mistake, it's the most important war you will ever fight, because the greatest enemy of your progress doesn't live out there in the world. It lives inside your head. There's a voice in you that wants to rise, the one that dreams, that plans, that knows you're capable of more. And there's another that pulls you down, the one that fears change, that clings to comfort, that whispers, maybe tomorrow. Every day these two sides collide. One wants evolution, the other wants ease. And whichever side you feed, wins. The truth is, most people lose this war not because they lack strength, but because they never realize the battle exists. They think procrastination is just laziness, when it's really resistance disguised as comfort. They think doubt is truth, when it's just fear wearing confidence clothes. If you want to force yourself to improve, you must first recognize the enemy within, that quiet, persuasive part of you that always finds a reason to delay your own greatness. It speaks in soft tones. It tells you you've done enough for today. It tells you that rest is important, even when you've been resting your whole life from the things that matter most. It tells you that the right time will come, as if success ever waits for perfect timing. You have to learn to hear that voice and say, no, not this time. The war within is not about silencing that voice. It will never go away. It's about mastering it. It's about becoming the commander of your own mind, not its captive, because your mind will always take the path of least resistance unless you give it orders. Discipline is the language your mind learns to respect. You can't negotiate with laziness. You can't reason with fear. You must train your thoughts to obey your vision, not your feeling. And that training begins with awareness. Start paying attention to your inner dialogue. Notice how often you talk yourself out of the things that would make you better. Notice how often you settle for later instead of now. That's your battlefield. That's where the real fight begins. You see, improvement isn't stopped by weakness. It's stopped by hesitation. You hesitate, you lose momentum. You lose momentum. You lose belief. And soon that inner voice starts saying, see, you failed again. But you didn't fail. And pauses can be broken the moment you decide to move again. The key is to act before your mind has time to argue. Every time you act despite resistance, you weaken its power. Every time you delay, you strengthen it. Think of it like this. Inside you lives two wolves. One thrives on discipline, progress, and courage. The other feeds on excuses, fear, and comfort. Which one grows stronger? The one you feed daily through your choices. So what are you feeding your mind? Every skipped workout, every promise broken, every task delayed, you're feeding the wrong wolf. Every disciplined choice, every uncomfortable step forward, every small victory, you're feeding the right one. This is why consistency matters more than intensity. It's not the grand gestures that change you. It's the small repeated acts of strength that rewire who you are. Over time, something powerful happens. The war doesn't disappear, but your strength does. The lazy voice still speaks, but it no longer leads. It becomes background noise, faint, distant, powerless. Because you've trained your mind to follow your command. That's what real self-improvement is, mental dominance. The ability to tell your body to move when it wants to rest, to choose focus when distraction calls your name, to act not because it's easy but because it's necessary. And the beauty of this battle is that victory compounds. Every time you win against yourself, your confidence grows. Every time you do what you said you would, your self-respect expands. And soon, you stop being at war with yourself, you start fighting for yourself. That's when improvement stops being forced and starts becoming natural, because you've built a new identity. One that doesn't wait for motivation, one that acts on command. But make no mistake, this transformation doesn't happen overnight. There will be days you slip, days you listen to the wrong voice, days you want to quit, and those days matter the most, because every time you rise from failure, you prove to your mind that resistance can't stop you. You teach it that no matter how many times it says no, you'll find your yes. That's how you reclaim your power. by showing up, again and again, until showing up becomes who you are. Remember this, you were not born disciplined, you were born adaptable. Discipline is built by repetition, by choice, by the daily decision to act when it would be easier not to. So the next time that inner resistance whispers in your ear, don't fight it with frustration. Smile at it, because that voice means you're on the edge of growth. It only shows up when you're about to level up. The war within is proof that something inside you still believes in more. So fight for that part of you. Feed it. Protect it. It's the truest, strongest version of who you are. And understand this. The person who wins the war within wins every other war in life. Because once you've mastered your mind, nothing external can defeat you. When you can command yourself to rise, even when you're tired, when you can push forward, even when fear screams for comfort, when you can look at resistance and move anyway, you become unstoppable. That is the essence of self-mastery. That is the real victory. So as you move forward, remember, the voice of resistance will never disappear, but neither will your power to overcome it. Every time you choose progress over comfort, you sharpen that power. Every time you win a small battle, you rewrite your destiny. The war within isn't something to fear, it's something to embrace. Because every fight brings you closer to the person you're meant to be. And now that you understand the battle of the mind, it's time to face the next challenge. The comfort zone that quietly kills your growth. In the next chapter, we'll uncover how to break free from the invisible walls that hold you back, and how to use discomfort as your greatest weapon for transformation. Chapter 3. Reprogram your inner voice. There's a voice inside your head, and it never stops talking. It speaks when you wake up, when you're driving, when you're trying to sleep. It comments, criticizes, compares, doubts, and sometimes dreams. It's the voice that tells you what you can do, and just as often, what you can't. Most people live their entire lives without realizing that this voice, this constant stream of inner dialogue, is not who they truly are. It's a program, a script, written by past experiences, other people's opinions, old fears and hidden insecurities. And unless you rewrite it, it will keep running your life like unseen code, deciding what you believe, how you feel, and what you think you deserve. Think about it. Every time you've talked yourself out of an opportunity, every time you've convinced yourself that you weren't ready, smart enough, or worthy enough, it wasn't truth speaking, it was the voice of conditioning. The echoes of years of repetition. The most dangerous cage is the one built inside the mind, because if the voice inside you says, "I can't," then even the open door ahead will look like a wall. But here's the truth most people never discover. You can reprogram that voice. You can teach it a new language, one of confidence, self-trust, and inner power. It begins the moment you become aware. Awareness is the master key. When you start to notice that inner chatter, the doubt, the guilt, the negativity, you create space between you and it. You become the listener instead of the prisoner. You realize that you're not the voice, you're the one hearing it. That small shift changes everything. Because once you know you're not your thoughts, you gain the power to choose which thoughts deserve to stay. Let's go deeper. Imagine that your mind is a garden. Every thought is a seed. The words you repeat, the beliefs you hold, they're all growing something. Some thoughts grow peace, others grow poison. And most people never look closely enough to see what they're planting. If you wake up each morning and the first thought that rises is, "I'm tired, I'm behind, I'm not enough," you're already watering weeds before the day begins. But when you start your day with, "I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm capable," you plant roots of strength that eventually grow into confidence. This isn't about pretending everything's perfect. It's about choosing what you feed. Because your inner voice will always follow the food you give it. Feed it fear, and it grows louder in panic. Feed it faith, and it becomes the sound of courage. Now this reprogramming doesn't happen overnight. The old voice has been rehearsing for years. It's fluent in limitation. But remember this, repetition built the old story, and repetition will build the new one. Every time you replace a self-defeating thought with one of empowerment, you're rewiring your brain. Neurons literally form new connections. The mind begins to favor strength over fear. That's not wishful thinking, it's neuroscience serving transformation. You don't silence the inner critic by fighting it, you silence it by starving it, by refusing to argue with your old doubts, by calmly introducing better words. Instead of "I can't," try "I'm learning." Instead of "I've failed," say "I've discovered another way not to quit." Instead of "I don't know what to do," breathe and say "I'll figure it out." Words are not just sounds, they are spells. They shape how you see yourself, and that image defines how far you go. Speak to yourself like someone you love. Speak like a guide, leading your own soul home. There's something sacred about inner dialogue. It's the meeting place between your conscious and your subconscious, between your past and your potential. When you change how you talk to yourself, you don't just feel different, you become different. And here's the beautiful truth, your subconscious believes whatever it hears most often. If you tell it you are powerless, it finds evidence to confirm that belief. But if you tell it you are capable, resilient, and destined for more, it will start creating the emotions and habits that make it real. That's the quiet magic of reprogramming your inner voice. It reshapes your identity from the inside out. Imagine for a moment walking through life with an inner companion who encourages you, guides you, reminds you of your worth. Imagine waking up and hearing not the voice of fear, but the voice of calm confidence. That version of you already exists. You just have to let it speak louder. So here's your inner work for now. The next time your mind starts whispering its old story, pause, listen, but don't agree. Ask yourself, is this my truth or just my training? Because the difference between those two determines whether you live in freedom or in repetition. As you grow, you'll notice the voice begins to soften. It stops controlling you, it starts supporting you, and eventually it becomes your ally, the quiet reminder that you've always been enough. Reprogramming your inner voice isn't about becoming someone new, it's about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. You were born with an inner voice of clarity, curiosity, and courage. Life just layered noise over it. Now you're peeling those layers away. One thought at a time. One truth at a time. Because the loudest voice in your life will always be your own. And when that voice speaks with love, everything else begins to align. The journey ahead is not about escaping your thoughts, it's about mastering them. When you do, peace stops being a moment you chase and becomes the atmosphere you live in. And that is the true mark of transformation. Not when the world changes, but when your inner voice finally says, I am ready for more. In the next chapter, we'll go even deeper. You'll discover how to turn this inner awareness into action, how to align your daily choices with your reprogrammed beliefs, and step fully into the reality you've been creating within. Because awareness is the awakening, but alignment is the evolution. Chapter 4. Align your actions with your vision. There's a moment in every person's life when they realize something powerful, that dreams don't die because they're impossible. They die because we stop aligning our actions with them. We dream big, we imagine boldly, we even write our visions down, but then somewhere between inspiration and execution, we drift. We get lost in the noise of routine, distracted by comfort, and slowly disconnected from the vision that once made our heart race. Picture this, a ship leaving the harbor with a perfect map but no one steering the wheel. It doesn't matter how clear the destination is, if the captain isn't aligning each turn, each sail, each decision with the map, that ship will never arrive. Your life works the same way. Vision gives you direction, but alignment gives you movement. The universe doesn't respond to what you say you want. It responds to what you do consistently. Every choice, every habit, every action is a signal you send out, a declaration of what you truly believe you deserve. If you say you want peace, but live in chaos, your actions are canceling your words. If you say you want growth, but keep repeating the same patterns, your comfort is betraying your potential. And if you say you want success, but avoid the small daily disciplines that lead there, your intentions will never become reality. Alignment is where truth and action meet. It's not glamorous, it's not always exciting, but it's the secret difference between those who wish and those who rise. Think of the people you admire most, not for what they have, but for who they are. What sets them apart isn't luck, talent, or timing. It's alignment. They live in integrity with their vision. Their words, emotions, and actions move in the same direction. You can feel it in their presence. There's no conflict between what they say and what they do. That kind of power doesn't come from pretending. It comes from practice. Here's the truth. Every dream you have is waiting for proof. Proof that you're serious. Proof that you'll move when it's inconvenient. Proof that you'll stay consistent when it's boring. Proof that you'll act even when motivation fades. Because alignment is not about what you do when it's easy. It's about what you do when no one's watching, when no one's clapping, when your progress feels invisible, but your purpose keeps whispering, keep going. Ask yourself, do your daily choices reflect your future or your past? Every time you procrastinate, avoid, or settle, you're aligning with who you used to be. Every time you take one step forward, no matter how small, you're aligning with who you're becoming. That's how transformation happens, not in one massive leap, but in 1,000 moments of quiet alignment. Let's bring this closer to home. Imagine a person who wants to be healthy, but keeps saying, "I'll start tomorrow." Imagine someone who dreams of starting a business but never sets aside the first hour to build it. Imagine someone who says they want love, but won't open their heart to be vulnerable again. Each of them has a vision, but none of them have alignment. And without alignment, vision is just imagination dressed as progress. But the moment you align, even in small, ordinary ways, everything starts shifting. You begin to trust yourself again. Confidence returns, clarity sharpens, the noise fades, because now your actions are speaking the same language as your goals. And when your actions speak, the world listens. It's not enough to visualize success. You must behave like someone who already belongs where you're going. You must walk, talk, think, and decide like the future version of you. Ask yourself, what would the highest version of me do today? Would they waste time on doubt? Would they make excuses? Would they wait for permission? Or would they move with quiet conviction, knowing that progress is built, not wished into existence? This is what true alignment feels like, a steady rhythm between vision and movement. It's not about perfection, it's about honesty. It's about showing up as the person your dreams require. Every day you align your behavior with your purpose, you strengthen the bridge between imagination and reality. And eventually, that bridge carries you across. Now, alignment isn't just about work or goals, it's about your entire being. If your mind believes in abundance, but your emotions are trapped in fear, you'll always feel torn. If your spirit longs for peace, but your environment is filled with negativity, you'll feel drained. If your values call for authenticity, but your choices are built on pleasing others, you'll feel empty. Alignment is inner harmony, made visible. It's the art of becoming one with your truth, in thought, in word, and in deed. So ask yourself, honestly and gently, where am I out of alignment? Where am I saying one thing and doing another? What part of me is ready to live the truth I've been postponing? Your answers will reveal the next step in your growth, And remember, alignment isn't about doing everything perfectly right away. It's about returning to what's right every time you drift. It's about noticing when your actions no longer reflect your intentions and having the courage to adjust. Because every adjustment, no matter how small, brings you closer to your purpose. Let me share something to hold close. You don't attract what you want, you attract what you are in alignment with. If you want abundance, live with gratitude. If you want love, live with openness. If you want peace, live with integrity. If you want growth, live with consistency. The universe mirrors your alignment, not your words. And once you begin living that way, with steady, unwavering coherence between who you are and what you seek, life stops feeling like a chase. It starts feeling like flow. You stop forcing outcomes, and they begin unfolding naturally. Because now your inner world and outer world are finally speaking the same language. So, as you move forward, remember this truth: vision without aligned action is fantasy, but aligned action turns vision into destiny. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to protect your energy, how to guard your focus and attention, so you can stay aligned no matter what distractions surround you. Because alignment builds momentum, but energy sustains it, and learning to protect that energy is the next step in mastering your inner power. Chapter 5. Protect your energy, guard your focus. Imagine standing in a crowded room filled with noise. Everyone is talking, laughing, shouting, and in the middle of it all, you're trying to hear your own thoughts. You strain to focus, but the noise keeps stealing your attention. Eventually, you stop listening to yourself altogether. That's what happens to most people every day. They lose themselves in the noise of the world. Their energy gets scattered, pieces of it left in meaningless conversations, endless scrolling, constant comparisons, and distractions disguised as productivity. And slowly, their inner power fades. If you've ever felt tired, but not from physical exhaustion, tired in your spirit, drained in your mind, unfocused, unmotivated, unsure, it's not because you lack discipline or drive. It's because your energy is being stolen by everything that doesn't deserve it. Energy is your most valuable currency. Not money, not time. Energy. Because energy is what turns time into creation, effort into growth, and dreams into reality. Without it, nothing moves. You can't improve, you can't focus, and you can't build a better life if your energy is leaking into everything except what truly matters. Think of energy like water. You can't fill a glass if there's a crack in it. You keep pouring more, new routines, new goals, new plans, but nothing lasts because the cracks keep draining what you pour in. So before you chase another dream, you must first protect the energy that makes dreams possible. Here's the truth most people never realize. The secret to sustained growth is not doing more, it's protecting what already fuels you. Protect your attention from people who drain it. Protect your peace from thoughts that poison it. Protect your purpose from distractions that dilute it. Every message you check the moment you wake up, every argument you entertain, every comparison you feed, these things might seem small, but they're silent thieves of energy. And energy lost is clarity lost. That's why some people never move forward, not because they're lazy, but because they're exhausted by things that don't move them closer to their vision. Protecting your energy isn't selfish, it's sacred. It's not about cutting the world off, it's about choosing where to give your light, because your energy shapes everything: your words, your emotions, your actions, your results. When your energy is calm, your mind is clear. When your energy is grounded, your focus sharpens. When your energy is pure, your growth accelerates. So let's talk about how to protect it. First, know your leaks. Energy doesn't just vanish, it escapes through unguarded doors, unnecessary drama, overthinking, guilt, resentment, distraction. These are the invisible leaks that keep you stuck in cycles of stagnation. You can't fix what you don't see. So start paying attention. Notice when your energy dips. Ask yourself, what just happened? What triggered this drain? You'll start to see patterns. Maybe it's a person. Maybe it's your phone. Maybe it's your own inner critic. Once you see the leaks, you can seal them. Second, set boundaries and mean them. Boundaries are not walls, they're filters. They let love in, but they keep toxicity out. You can't grow while constantly saying yes to everything and everyone. Every yes that doesn't serve your purpose is a silent no to your future. If you want to rise, you must be willing to disappoint people who benefit from your exhaustion. That might sound harsh, but it's truth wrapped in freedom. Because protecting your energy means valuing your peace more than their approval. Third, build a focus fortress, a place, a routine, a mental space where distractions can't reach you. It could be your early morning before the world wakes up, or your quiet hour before bed, but you must guard that space like your dreams depend on it, because they do. In that space, no notifications, no noise, no multitasking, just you, your thoughts, your growth. That's where real progress happens, not in chaos, but in focus. Fourth, clean your inner environment. Sometimes the biggest energy thief isn't outside you. It's within. The endless worrying, the guilt for things long past, the resentment you keep replaying. These are internal distractions. You can't build new strength while carrying old weight. So release it. Let it go. Not because they deserve forgiveness, but because you deserve freedom. Forgiveness is energy recovery. Acceptance is energy release. Clarity is energy renewal. And finally, choose what you feed your mind. Everything you consume becomes fuel or fog. The conversations you have, the content you watch, the people you follow, they all either strengthen your focus or scatter it. So ask yourself daily, is this adding to me or draining me? Be intentional about your inputs, because what you feed your mind, you eventually become. Protecting your energy isn't about living in isolation. It's about living in intention. It's about making space for what matters most. Think of your energy as a sacred flame. Every distraction is a gust of wind, trying to blow it out. Your job isn't to fight the wind. It's to shield the flame, nurture it, feed it with purpose, and let it burn steady. Because once you learn to guard that flame, you become unstoppable. Your focus deepens, your actions become precise, your growth becomes natural. You stop reacting to everything around you and start creating from within you. And that's where true power begins, in the quiet confidence of someone who no longer wastes their light on things unworthy of it. So take a deep breath and remember this: your energy is sacred, your focus is precious. Guard them both, and life will begin to flow in your favor. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to embrace discomfort, how to use pain, pressure, and challenge not as obstacles, but as powerful tools to accelerate your growth. Because once your energy is protected, it's time to test your strength, and real strength is born in the fire of discomfort. Chapter 6. The Power of Stillness. There's a quiet place within you that the world can't touch. It's not found in noise, not in the rush of your schedule, not in the constant hum of information and distraction. It lives beneath all that deep calm, waiting, and when you learn to reach it, everything in your life begins to change. Most people never find that place. They live on the surface of themselves, reacting, running, filling every silent moment with something. They mistake movement for progress, noise for meaning, and busyness for purpose. But what if the true source of your strength isn't in motion, but in stillness? What if the most powerful thing you could ever do is stop? Imagine standing beside a lake just before sunrise. The air is cool, the water perfectly still. The sky holds that soft gray blue that comes before light breaks through. You can hear your breath. You can hear your heart. For a brief moment, everything feels suspended, untouched. That is the power of stillness. It's not emptiness, it's presence, the full awareness of life in its purest form. Stillness is where truth reveals itself. It's where the noise of fear, doubt, and overthinking loses its grip. It's where clarity begins to form. You don't have to search for answers when you are still. The answers rise to meet you, but to reach that space, you must be willing to stop chasing. You must let go of the endless motion that keeps you from hearing your own soul speak. Think about how often we run from silence. We fill every gap with screens, music, chatter, anything to avoid being alone with our thoughts. Because silence feels uncomfortable. It exposes us. It forces us to face what we've been ignoring. But that's exactly why stillness is so powerful. It brings you face to face with yourself. It removes the layers you've built to hide behind. And once those layers fall away, what remains is truth. Raw, honest, and unshakable. Stillness doesn't mean doing nothing. It means doing what matters with presence, intention, and awareness. It's about moving through life without being moved by every noise around you. It's standing centered even when chaos swirls at your edges. It's responding instead of reacting. In stillness, you don't become passive, you become powerful, because you stop wasting energy on everything that doesn't matter. You stop letting your emotions pull you in every direction. You learn to see things as they are, not as your fears or judgments distort them. The greatest leaders, thinkers, and creators understood this. They knew that clarity is born from quiet, that wisdom doesn't come from talking more, but from listening deeper. Every great decision begins in a pause, that sacred space between impulse and action. Think about your own life. How many mistakes have been made in haste? How many words spoken in anger? How many choices made out of fear? How many opportunities missed because you were too distracted to notice them? Stillness corrects that. It slows you down enough to see, to think, to choose consciously. And yet, stillness takes courage, because when you stop, all the noise inside you comes rushing up. The doubts, the regrets, the what-ifs. That's the test. Stillness isn't about escaping your thoughts. It's about facing them with compassion. It's sitting in the discomfort until it loses its power over you. There's something almost sacred about learning to sit with yourself. No distractions, no noise, just you. It's in that space that self-trust begins to grow, because the more you sit with your thoughts, the more you realize you can handle them. You begin to understand that you are not your emotions, not your fears, not even your past. You are the one who observes them all. And that awareness is freedom. When you practice stillness, life starts to feel different. You begin to notice things others miss. The softness in a sunrise, the rhythm of your breath, the quiet joy of simply being alive. Gratitude flows more naturally. Peace stops feeling like a distant dream and becomes your daily state of being. Stillness is also a mirror. It reflects who you are without the masks you wear for the world. It shows you what you've been running from and what you're meant to run toward. It reminds you that the answers you've been searching for are already within you. You've just been too busy to listen. The truth is, you don't find yourself in the noise. You lose yourself there. But when you learn to be still, even for a few moments each day, you begin to return home, to your center, to your truth, to your peace. Try it. The next time you feel overwhelmed, don't reach for your phone. Don't distract yourself. Just stop, breathe, close your eyes, feel your body, listen to the silence. It's not empty, it's alive. It's whispering something important, something meant only for you. Stillness is not an escape from life, it's the gateway back into it. It teaches you how to live with awareness instead of autopilot, with presence instead of pressure. It shows you that real power doesn't come from control, but from calm. And once you touch that stillness within you, even for a moment, it never truly leaves you. It becomes your compass, your refuge, your quiet strength when the world gets loud. Because no matter what happens outside you, peace is always possible inside you. You just have to be still enough to find it. And when you do, when you learn to quiet the storms within, you'll begin to see how much brighter, wiser, and more powerful you truly are. Stillness isn't the end of motion. It's the source of all meaningful movement. It's where clarity is born, and where transformation begins. And as you carry this stillness into your days, into your choices, your relationships, your dreams, you'll notice something beautiful. The world doesn't control your rhythm anymore. You do. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to transform that inner calm into focused action, how to move through life with purpose and intention, guided not by pressure, but by peace. Because once you master stillness, every step you take becomes powerful, every moment becomes meaningful, and every breath becomes alive. Chapter 7. The Discipline of Purpose. There comes a moment in every life when passion is not enough, when dreams alone can't move you forward, when the fire that once burned so brightly starts to flicker, not because you've lost your desire, but because life has started asking for something more from you. That something is discipline. The quiet, consistent power that turns vision into reality. The force that bridges the space between where you are and where you're meant to be. Discipline isn't dramatic. It doesn't announce itself with noise or applause. It lives in the small, unseen choices, the moments when no one is watching, and yet you choose to stay committed anyway. It's easy to be motivated when things feel exciting. But true transformation begins when motivation fades, and you continue not because you feel like it, but because you've decided that who you're becoming matters more than how you feel in the moment. Discipline is not punishment, it's devotion. It's the highest form of self-respect. It says, I believe in my purpose enough to stay the course, even when it's hard. Think about it, every great work, every masterpiece, every success story that has ever existed was built on the foundation of discipline. Passion lights the flame, but discipline keeps it burning through the storms. There's a quiet kind of strength in people who live with purpose. They don't need to prove anything. They don't waste energy chasing distractions. They move differently, steady, clear, focused. They understand that consistency is not about perfection. It's about alignment. It's about showing up for your future self, even when your present self wants to give up. The truth is, discipline and freedom are not opposites. They are partners. The more disciplined you become, the freer you feel, because discipline removes confusion. It removes chaos. It gives your mind direction and your spirit peace. When you live without discipline, you're ruled by impulse. You drift, pulled by every emotion, every temptation, every noise of the world. But when you live with discipline, you create order, not the kind that restricts, but the kind that liberates. You stop reacting to life and start leading. Ask yourself this: how many times have you talked yourself out of your own potential? How many times have you promised yourself you'd start tomorrow, and tomorrow became next week, next month, next year? Discipline breaks that cycle. It teaches you to act now, not when you're ready, not when you feel inspired, but when it's time, and that time is always now. The disciplined mind doesn't ask for perfect conditions. It creates them. It doesn't wait for motivation. It becomes the motivation. And it doesn't fear the struggle, because it understands that the struggle is the proof of progress. There will be days when your mind says, it's too hard, days when your heart whispers, maybe I'm not enough, but discipline will speak louder. Keep going. you're closer than you think. Discipline isn't just about habits or routines, it's about identity. It's about deciding who you are and aligning your behavior with that truth. When you see yourself as someone who follows through, you stop negotiating with excuses, you stop giving power to laziness, or you start living from intention instead of emotion. And this shift, from emotion to intention, is where real growth begins, because emotions are fleeting, but purpose endures. Every time you choose discipline, you strengthen your willpower. You expand your capacity to create, to endure, to lead. You become more trusted by yourself, and that trust, that self-reliance, becomes your unshakable foundation. Let's be honest, discipline is uncomfortable. It requires sacrifice. It asks you to trade temporary ease for long-term greatness. But think about it. Everything truly valuable in life demands that trade. Love, mastery, fulfillment. None of these come without effort. The difference between those who succeed and those who settle is simple. Not talent, not luck, but consistency. The willingness to keep showing up long after the excitement has faded. Discipline is how dreams survive the silence. It's how potential becomes power. It's how ordinary days create extraordinary lives. And when you start seeing discipline not as a cage, but as a key, everything changes. You begin to crave structure. You begin to appreciate repetition. You start to understand that the daily grind is not your enemy. It's your part. Every small effort, every single choice, is a brick in the foundation of your purpose. The secret is to make discipline emotional, not mechanical. Don't do it because you have to. Do it because you get. Because every disciplined moment is an act of love for your future, your dreams, your highest self. Discipline is the art of remembering what truly matters. It's saying no to distraction, so you can say yes to destiny. It's building habits that serve who you want to become, not just who you've been. And over time, something beautiful happens. The very things that once felt difficult become natural. What once required effort becomes effortless, because discipline, practiced long enough, transforms into character, and character shapes destiny. So the next time you face resistance, don't see it as a wall, see it as a test. A chance to prove that your purpose is stronger than your comfort. A chance to choose progress over procrastination. A chance to remind yourself, you are capable of more than you think. The disciplined life is not easy, but it's worth it, because every act of discipline is an act of creation. You are literally building your future, one choice at a time. And the beauty is, you don't have to be perfect. You just have to be consistent. Miss a day, start again. Fall short, get back up. The moment you return to your purpose, you are already back on track. Discipline is not about never falling. It's about never staying down. It's the promise you make to yourself and keep, no matter how many times it's tested. So stay steady, stay true, stay loyal to your purpose, because discipline will carry you. When motivation disappears, it will move you forward when inspiration runs dry. And one day you'll look back and realize this quiet strength, this unwavering focus, this simple decision to stay committed. It was the bridge between who you were and who you've become. In the next chapter, we'll explore how purpose-driven discipline evolves into momentum, how small, steady actions create unstoppable flow. Because once discipline takes root, your progress no longer depends on willpower. It becomes your way of life. Chapter 8. The power of momentum. There's a moment in every journey when the struggle turns into rhythm, when what once felt like effort starts to feel like flow, when your steps no longer feel heavy, because now something greater is carrying you forward. That force, invisible yet unstoppable, is momentum. Momentum is the reward for consistency. It's the universe's way of saying, I see your effort. I see your discipline. Now let me help you fly. At first, every beginning feels uphill. You push against resistance, doubt, fatigue, fear. The progress is slow. The results are invisible. You question if what you're doing even matters. But every small step is gathering energy. Every act of discipline is building pressure beneath the surface, until one day, the resistance breaks, and the energy you've been generating begins to move on its own. That's momentum. The turning point when effort becomes effortless, when progress becomes natural, when your habits begin working for you, not against you. The truth is, momentum doesn't come from big leaps. It comes from small, repeated victories, tiny wins that compound into unstoppable progress. One day of showing up, then another, and another. It's the accumulation of steady effort that transforms your path from friction to flow. Think of a snowball rolling down a hill. It starts small, fragile, uncertain, but as it moves, it gathers snow, strength, speed. What began as a handful becomes a force that nothing can stop. That's what happens when discipline meets time. It becomes momentum. But here's what most people miss. Momentum doesn't arrive with fanfare. It sneaks up quietly. It appears the moment after you almost gave up, the moment you chose to keep going instead. It shows up when you've built enough consistency that quitting no longer feels like an option. You can't see momentum. You feel it. It's in the way your mornings start to align, the way your mind becomes sharper, the way the tasks that once drained you now fuel you. It's a shift from I have to into I get to, from I should into I am. Momentum is emotional as much as it is physical. It's the emotional rhythm of progress, the compounding confidence that comes when you start trusting yourself. Each time you keep a promise to yourself, your self-belief grows stronger. Each time you follow through, your identity shifts from trying to become, and the moment that identity locks in, momentum accelerates. Because you're no longer fighting who you were, you're moving with who you are. The key is to protect momentum at all costs. Because once you lose it, starting again feels 10 times harder. Life has inertia. Things in motion tend to stay in motion. Things at rest tend to stay at rest. So when you find your rhythm, guard it. Don't let distraction, doubt, or discouragement interrupt your flow. Momentum doesn't require perfection. It only requires direction. Even slow progress is powerful if it's consistent. A small step forward every single day is infinitely more valuable than a giant leap followed by weeks of inactivity. Remember, momentum loves simplicity. The more you overthink, the more you slow down. The more you complicate your path, the more friction you create. Keep your focus narrow. Keep your actions clear. Keep your energy aligned. One of the most powerful ways to build momentum is to celebrate small wins. Most people wait until they've reached the finish line to feel proud, but momentum thrives on appreciation. Every completed task, every good decision, every small act of progress fuels your inner drive. Gratitude amplifies momentum. Momentum also thrives in motion, not just physical, but emotional motion. Stay curious, keep learning, keep expanding. Every new idea, every new perspective adds energy to your journey. Growth creates movement, and movement sustains momentum. But let's be honest, momentum will not always feel smooth. Even when it's working, you'll still face challenges. The difference is, momentum gives you resilience. It turns obstacles into stepping stones. When you have momentum, failure doesn't stop you, it redirects you. You learn faster, you recover quicker, you rise stronger. Think of an airplane taking off. The hardest part isn't flying, it's breaking through gravity. That's where most people give up right before liftoff. But those who persist through the drag eventually reach altitude, and once they do, the same forces that resisted them begin to support them. Momentum is that lift. Once you've built it, you no longer need to push so hard. Life starts meeting you halfway. Doors open. Opportunities align, energy flows. You begin to feel guided rather than burdened. And yet here's the paradox. Momentum doesn't sustain itself automatically. It requires awareness. You must stay conscious, even when things are going well. Because the moment you take progress for granted, the energy begins to fade. So how do you sustain momentum? You stay consistent with what built it. You stay humble, grateful, and grounded. You don't relax your standards when you start to succeed. You keep refining, keep improving, keep showing up. You respect the rhythm that got you here. When you start to lose momentum, don't panic. Reconnect. Return to your core actions, your simplest habits, your original why. Momentum is not magic, it's memory. It's your behavior, repeated with purpose. So whenever you fall off, remember, your momentum isn't gone, it's waiting to be reactivated. Momentum doesn't just move you forward, it transforms how you see yourself. You stop asking, "Can I do this?" and start affirming, "This is who I am." It rewires your confidence from doubt to knowing, and that shift from uncertainty to certainty changes everything. Because once you've felt the power of momentum, you can't unknow it. You'll recognize that motion itself is the cure for stagnation, that action creates clarity, and that forward is always the right direction. So don't wait for perfect timing. Don't wait for everything to align. Begin where you are, with what you build slowly, build honestly, and let momentum find you through consistency. Because the truth is, success doesn't happen in an instant, it happens through rhythm. The rhythm of doing what matters, every day, until the world begins to move with you. And when it does, you'll feel it, that weightless sensation of progress, that quiet power of movement, that sense that the wind itself is on your side. That's momentum. It's not luck. It's not magic. It's mastery of effort, energy and emotion. And when you learn to live in that flow, life stops feeling like a struggle and starts feeling like a dance. In the next chapter, we'll explore how to sustain this momentum, how to stay in flow when life tests you, how to keep your spirit grounded when success arrives, and how to turn motion into mastery. Because once momentum becomes part of who you are, the journey ahead is limitless. Chapter 9. The pain of staying the same. There's a quiet kind of pain that doesn't scream, doesn't bleed, and doesn't draw attention. It sits inside you, still, patient, heavy. It's the pain of knowing you could be more, but you're not. It's the ache of unrealized potential. The whisper that follows you when the world goes quiet. You're not where you could be. This pain doesn't arrive suddenly. It grows slowly, almost invisibly. It begins the day you start ignoring your own calling. The day you choose comfort over growth. The day you say, "I'll do it tomorrow," one too many times. And for a while, you convince yourself you're fine. You tell yourself life isn't so bad, that things could be worse. But deep down, you know the truth. You've stopped moving forward. You've settled into a version of yourself that was never meant to be permanent. The pain of staying the same is the most dangerous kind because it doesn't destroy you all at once. It erodes you over time. It dulls your spirit, steals your confidence, and convinces you that your dreams were foolish in the first place. But here's the secret few ever face, that pain is your signal. It's not punishment, it's a message. It's your soul knocking, asking you to wake up. It's the discomfort of stagnation, trying to push you toward transformation. Think about a seed buried in the ground. If it stays buried forever, it will rot. It was never meant to remain hidden in the soil. It must break, expand, and reach for the light. That process is painful, but it's the only way it fulfills its purpose. You're the same. You weren't meant to stay buried beneath your excuses, fears, or routines. You were meant to grow, and that growth will hurt. But so will staying the same. The question is, which pain are you willing to live with? Growth pain and stagnation pain look similar from the outside. Both feel uncomfortable, both demand something from you, but only one leads to life, only one makes you stronger, wiser, and freer. The other quietly drains you until you forget who you are. There's a story of a man who hated his job but never left. Every morning he'd wake up with a sigh, stare at the ceiling, and whisper, maybe next year. He dreamed of starting his own business, of building something meaningful, but he never took the first step. 10 years passed. The dream faded. His fire dimmed. One day, sitting alone at his desk, he realized the truth. The fear of failure had kept him trapped. But the pain of never trying had become far worse. Most people live like that man. They endure the pain of sameness because it feels safer than the risk of change. But life has a cruel way of reminding you that safety is an illusion. The comfort zone is not a sanctuary, it's a slow death. Every time you choose not to grow, you lose a piece of yourself. You lose energy, you lose clarity, you lose the connection to your deeper purpose. And eventually, you start believing that this is just how life is. But it's not. It's how life becomes when you stop challenging yourself to evolve. You were not created for stagnation. You were created to move, to explore the edges of your ability and see what you're truly capable of. Every cell in your body, every spark in your mind, they're designed for adaptation and improvement. Nature itself refuses to stay still. Rivers keep flowing. Trees keep reaching. Even the stars are expanding. Stagnation is unnatural. Growth is your default setting. So if you feel restless, good. If you feel frustrated, stuck, or unsatisfied, even better. That means something inside you still wants more. That's your fire talking. Don't silence it. Don't numb it. Don't drown it in distractions or excuses. That pain is proof that you're still alive. Ask yourself honestly, what would my life look like if I stopped avoiding growth? If I used my discomfort as fuel instead of fear? If I finally did the thing I keep saying I'll do someday? The truth is, you already know what needs to change. You've always known. The problem isn't clarity, it's courage. And courage isn't the absence of fear, it's the decision to move forward anyway. Forcing yourself to improve means you'll have to confront the parts of yourself that resist change. The lazy parts, the doubtful parts, the parts that crave the easy way out. But remember this, those parts aren't you. They're just habits, layers of resistance that were built over time. And anything built can be broken down. You don't have to take massive leaps all at once. Start small. Start where you are. Start with the next right action. Because the moment you take even one deliberate step toward growth, the pain begins to shift. It transforms from the ache of stagnation to the burn of progress. And that's a pain worth feeling. There's a difference between the pain that breaks you and the pain that builds you. One steals your spirit. The other shapes your strength. One makes you bitter. The other makes you powerful. The pain of staying the same will suffocate you quietly. The pain of growth will liberate you loudly. And here's something most people never realize. The longer you delay change, the heavier it becomes. What starts as mild discomfort can grow into deep regret. Regret is the final form of ignored growth. It's the echo of all the chances you didn't take, the risks you avoided, the moments you postponed because you were afraid. And regret doesn't fade. It stays, reminding you of what could have been. But you don't have to live there. You can choose differently. You can choose to let today be the turning point. The moment you stop making peace with mediocrity and start demanding more from yourself. Not because life forced you to, but because you finally realized you deserve better. The pain of staying the same may be familiar, but it's not your destiny. The moment you decide to face it head on, to let it burn away your excuses, you begin to rise. Growth doesn't come from comfort, it comes from friction, from movement, from the willingness to shed the old and make room for the new. So ask yourself, One last time, which pain will you choose? The pain of change, or the pain of staying the same? One leads to freedom, the other leads nowhere. And when you finally understand that, your decision becomes simple, because deep down, you already know staying the same hurts far more than the effort it takes to grow. Take that pain and use it. Let it be the spark that ignites everything that comes next, because in the next chapter, we'll explore exactly how to turn that spark into unstoppable momentum, the kind that transforms pain into progress, and progress into power. Chapter 10. Becoming relentless. There's a moment in every life when everything changes, not because the world shifted, but because you did. A moment when you stop hoping for circumstances to be perfect, and instead decide to become unstoppable. That's the moment you become relentless. Relentlessness is not born from luck. It's not gifted by talent or circumstance. It's forged in fire, in struggle, in doubt, in the moments when giving up seems easier than moving forward. It's a decision to never let resistance dictate your limits, to never allow fear to define your possibilities, to refuse to settle for anything less than the person you are capable of becoming. Relentlessness begins quietly. It starts with a single promise to yourself. I will not quit. I will not hide. I will not compromise my growth. And from that promise, action flows. One small act, repeated. One decision, reinforced. One day, 1 hour, 1 breath at a time. That is how unstoppable momentum is born. The world will try to stop you. Life will test you. People will doubt you. Your own mind will whisper, maybe this is too much. Maybe you're not ready. But relentlessness is not about never feeling fear. It's about acting despite fear. It's about moving forward when everything inside you screams to stay put. It's about training yourself to be loyal to your potential, not your comfort. Imagine a river cutting through rock. It does not move with violence or speed. It moves with persistence. It flows, day after day, until the stone yields to water. Relentlessness is your river. Slow, steady, consistent, unstoppable, because it refuses to stop. To become relentless, you must embrace discomfort as a friend. Discomfort signals growth. It shows you where your limits lie, and it forces you to expand beyond them. The relentless person seeks discomfort because they know that's where transformation lives. They don't chase comfort or ease. They chase mastery, excellence, and freedom. And here's the beauty of relentlessness. It transforms identity. Every time you choose effort over excuses, you reinforce the belief that you are capable. Every time you show up, even when it hurts, you prove to yourself that resilience is not something you hope for. It's something you become. Real relentlessness requires a ruthless clarity about priorities. It's about eliminating distractions, saying no to what doesn't serve your growth, and committing fully to the path that will elevate you. You cannot be half-hearted, and you cannot be divided. The relentless person channels their energy with precision, focusing not on the trivial, but on the transformative. Relentlessness is also deeply emotional. It's rooted in desire and fear, hope and urgency. You must care enough to feel discomfort when you stagnate. You must want change with such intensity that failure is no longer tolerable. This fire, burning inside you, urging you to move, is what separates those who live passively from those who live fully. One of the greatest misconceptions about relentlessness is that it is solitary. In truth, relentless people attract support because they radiate commitment. They inspire others by their example, not by words. People sense the energy of someone unwilling to quit, and it draws attention, opportunity, and momentum. You do not need permission to be relentless. You only need the courage to honor your own promise. Another truth. Relentlessness is iterative. You will fail. You will stumble. You will question yourself. But the relentless do not see failure as an end. They see it as feedback, a signal to refine, to adjust, to rise again stronger than before. Each setback is a teacher. Each obstacle is a stepping stone. Each challenge is a test of how badly you want what you claim to want. Becoming relentless also requires patience. Momentum takes time. Change takes time. Transformation does not happen overnight, but the relentless person understands the power of accumulation. Every action, no matter how small, compounds. Every day of showing up matters. Every decision to continue when it's hard builds the character, skill, and resilience necessary for long-term mastery. The world rewards relentlessness quietly, but profoundly. It may not notice your effort immediately. It may not hand you success on a silver platter, but the universe respects persistence. Doors open, paths appear, opportunity align. The relentless person has a gravitational pull, not because they demand it, but because they embody consistency, integrity, and determination at a level that cannot be ignored. To become relentless, you must also forgive yourself for past mistakes. You cannot move forward weighed down by regret or shame. Accept where you have been, but refuse to let it dictate where you go. Every failure, every delay, every misstep is merely part of the process. What defines you is not your history. It's your response, your effort, your resolve to rise again and again. And so, relentlessness is not a skill, it's a habit. It's a lifestyle. It's a commitment to honoring your potential every single day. It is the ultimate act of self-respect, telling yourself, I refuse to settle, I refuse to stop, I refuse to betray my own growth. When you live with this level of relentless dedication, life changes. The impossible becomes possible. The obstacles that once loomed large shrink in the face of your persistence. Fear loses its power. Doubt becomes irrelevant. You begin to operate on a higher plane, where action fuels results, and results reinforce action. Finally, relentlessness is contagious. It inspires others, it elevates communities, and it creates ripples that extend far beyond your personal journey. When you embrace it fully, you are no longer just chasing your dreams. You are lighting a path for others to follow. So now, as you reflect on everything you've learned in this journey, the discipline, the momentum, the courage, the willingness to face discomfort, recognize that the final step is commitment. A commitment not to try halfway, not to stop when it's inconvenient, not to quit when it's hard. Commitment to yourself, your potential, and your life. Be relentless. Be unstoppable. Be the person who refuses to stay small, refuses to settle, and refuses to allow fear or doubt to dictate your destiny. Because when you do, the life you've imagined, the growth you've longed for, is not just possible, it becomes inevitable. And as this audiobook closes, remember, the journey does not end here. Every day is an opportunity to practice relentlessness, to honor your promise to yourself, and to continue the extraordinary path of becoming who you were always meant to be. Rise, move, persist, become relentless. Your life depends on it.